noticed the service had started. But my name is Ronnie Pierce. I work with Cru. I do campus ministry. Our goal is to help fulfill the Great Commission by winning students to Christ, building them up in their faith, and sending them out to win others. I coach campuses. Part of my job is launching new ministries on campuses that don't have gospel ministries. And then part of my job is coaching students that are leading movements on campuses that don't have full-time Cru staff. And so this year, I finally received the lovely privilege of being offered a campus in South Dakota. So I have campuses in the Carolinas, in Texas, and Georgia, and some other places. But I was thrilled when someone said that they needed some help at Northern up in Aberdeen. I called the potential key volunteer student, and I wanted to hear her story about how she came to know the Lord. And she said, "It's funny you should ask me that, Ronnie, because it just happened about 2 months ago." And I'm like, "You're kidding, tell me about it." And she said, "I was driving in my car, I'd just broken up with my boyfriend, and I was crying. And it was a mutual decision. We didn't want to get married. I knew it was the right thing to do, but there was still this tremendous ache inside of my heart, and I could not understand why. So I went to see my grandmother, who was a believer, and what my grandma said to me is, 'Nikki, don't you pick back up what God has asked you to lay down at his feet.' And she's like, 'I know, Grandma, I know. I don't want to, I won't.' And Grandma prayed over her. She got back in her car, started driving home, still feeling this great sadness. And so she prayed to the Lord, and she said, 'God, I'm turning my boyfriend over to you.' And in the quietness of her car, she heard the Lord speak to her, and he said, 'Thank you. What about turning yourself over to me as well?' And Nikki realized, even though she'd grown up in the church, even though she knew in her head the gospel, that she had never made that great exchange of surrendering completely to Christ, being made new in him, being born again, and having new life in Jesus. And so right there, she pulled over by the side of the road and gave her life to Christ. The first thing she did was call her pastor. He rejoiced with her. Within a few weeks, she was baptized. And now, so she told me that story. I was thrilled, of course, to hear that story. And so we've been having FaceTime appointments as I've been discipling her and another senior named Lauren. And they've kicked off Cru on the campus at Northern again. It had gotten down to just 2 people left. But this past week, they had 15 people come because Nikki made a Cru Instagram account, and she followed a bunch of students, and if they followed her back, she invited them to come. Nikki shared her new life in Christ testimony briefly with them, and then Lauren laid out the foundation of the group, which is the gospel. And so I'm super excited. They did a survey that asked students what they'd like to study. The students said, "We want to know more about how to read the Bible and understand it for ourselves." And so we're getting set up to do some of those things. So I'm just thrilled. God is working like that all across the United States of America, raising up young people who love him, who want to bring others to him, and who are willing to pay a price to follow the Lord. So I think that's super encouraging. And I just want to say that I really love my job. I really love the prayers and support that I receive from this church. We've had so much fun at this missions conference. It's been really great to connect with people. It's been a huge encouragement to see what God is doing. And I remember my first missions conference here at CBC was in 1990. So you guys have a history of being involved in missions, and I'm really thankful for that. So thanks for giving me a few minutes today to let you know what God is up to. Thank you.